Hello and welcome to week 4 of Health 402, Research Methods in Public Health Settings. This week we are going to be talking about different sampling techniques, and we're also going to be covering recruitment materials. So what I mean by sampling techniques is how we actually sample people into our research studies. We're going to talk about creating different recruitment materials and what those requirements look like with several examples from real studies that have been conducted. So this week you'll complete the module. You'll also read chapter 6 of your textbook. You also have your discussion number 4 with your initial post due on Thursday and your reply due by Sunday. You also have a quiz on the material that's due by Sunday. And then as a reminder, your literature review assignment is due on Sunday. Again, this is an individual assignment, and if you click this link here, it will take you to the page with the instructions. So make sure that you've read all of the instructions for the assignment on this page very thoroughly. You can watch this video. Dr. Alber, this is one we recorded in the past, actually goes over an example paper that was submitted by a student and talks about basically what worked well in the paper and some areas for improvement. So make sure to watch that. You've also got some pretty specific requirements in terms of content, and that's all laid out here. So please make sure to take a look at that. So in your module for this week, you've got a number of pages that cover what sampling is, different sampling techniques that we can use in research studies. We're also going to talk about sample size calculation. So oftentimes students ask, well, how do I know how many people I need for a research study? Well, there's actually calculations that you can do to calculate how many people you actually need. Sometimes you have limited resources, so you don't want to recruit more people than you actually need in order for your study to have enough power. But we also want to make sure that we're getting enough, right? If we don't have enough people, our study might not be powered to answer our research question. You're also going to learn about actual recruitment materials. So if you click on this page here, there are some recruitment materials that, again, these are from actual research studies that have been conducted in real life. So take a look at those. Those will also be helpful for your lab. For your lab assignment, you're going to be learning about, you're going to practice talking about different sampling techniques. You're going to actually get the opportunity to create recruitment materials. And then you're also going to get to practice calculating sample size. So you'll get to practice those things. Make sure that you've reviewed the material in the module. You can go back and reference that material. It will be very helpful for your lab. So also remember, your literature review assignment is due on Sunday this week. You can access the assignment by clicking this link here at the bottom of the week 4 module, and it will take you to the literature review assignment where all of the instructions are. Again, please watch this video. It's really helpful in terms of understanding what you need to do for the paper and some things that work really well and maybe some things that don't work so well. So some of the things that I typically see from submissions on this assignment is in the introduction paragraph, you do need a very clear purpose statement. And this is a thing that students often leave out, or it's missing, or it's unclear. So you do need a really, really clear purpose statement that very clearly states the purpose of the paper. So you could say something like, the purpose of this paper is to examine previous articles that look at the relationship between health beliefs and uptake of the flu vaccine in, and then you can say your specific population, but it needs to really clearly state the purpose of this paper is to, right? We learned about how important that was in published articles in Health 318, so you're going to do something very similar in this paper. You'll have that really clear purpose statement. Something else that I commonly see in the introduction statement is students don't make the case for their topic. So you need to introduce your reader to the vaccination that you've chosen and the population that you're focusing on for the literature review in the very beginning. So let's say that you're talking about HPV vaccinations in, let's say, adolescent boys. You want to talk about what statistics we have on that. So for example, what percent of maybe adolescent males are affected by HPV. We want some statistics around the burden of disease in this beginning paragraph to justify why this topic is important. You also, if you're, for example, looking at health beliefs, you want to introduce those health beliefs early on in this introduction paragraph as well. So you're introducing your reader to the importance of the topic in terms of statistics, why it is important, and then you should also introduce your reader to your independent variable, whether that's health beliefs, socioeconomic status, whatever those independent variable factors are that you're looking at. And then you want to kind of end that paragraph with an overall purpose statement that makes it really clear what specifically this paper is going to talk about. For the summary of the selected articles, remember you need to use articles that look at the variables you've selected for your research question and your population of interest. One of the big things that I see with student submissions for this assignment in this section is students will copy and paste sections from articles. They'll copy and paste sentences and use quotes. Please do not use quotes. You should be summarizing these articles in your own words. If you do use quotes, you are going to lose points on the assignment. So please make sure you're summarizing in your own words. In addition to your own words, another challenge that I think students often face is they think they need to put every single detail of every study into this assignment. You're just including the highlights that are relevant to your specific research question. So you don't need to include every single detail about every study. Rather, think about what specific highlights of this study are really important for your research question and make sure to summarize those. As you move down the assignment, you'll also notice you've got your comparison of articles, paragraphs. So it's just a paragraph where you're going to summarize the main findings that you saw across the different studies that you found. So you found 5 studies. You're going to summarize those findings. Think about, were they similar? Were they maybe different? You also want to talk about strengths and limitations across the articles. You need to have 2 strengths and 2 limitations that you find across all the articles. Do not summarize the strengths and limitations of every single article individually in this paragraph. Rather, what is it that you saw across all of them? Think about any differences in the methods and findings across the articles. The other thing you want to think about is your conclusion paragraph. Considering all of the articles that you've reviewed, what is the need for future research? So what should future research studies look like? Think about that. And then you also have some organization, spelling, formatting type instructions here. Make sure your paper is organized the same way the instructions are laid out. So for example, your paper should start with the introduction. You should then summarize the selected articles. You can then have your paragraph comparing the different articles, and then you should have your conclusion at the end. So don't switch those things around. The content should also follow the order of the instructions in the assignments. Also, make sure that your paper follows APA formats. You do need to have a title page, and there is an example title page here so you can see the format of that for a student paper. Watch for spelling, grammar issues. Take your time, write your paper, put it down for a little bit, come back to it. There's also resources on campus that can help with writing as well. If you do need some support, let me know and I can help connect you to those resources. Your paper should be no more than 5 pages. This does not include your references in your title page, so your actual paper should not be more than 5 pages. Make sure you upload it as a PDF. And you need a minimum of 8 references. Remember, 5 of those are going to be your selected articles for your review. The other ones will go in like the introduction section of your paper, maybe to justify the importance of your topic. But in total, you should have 8, and they should be from credible sources. So peer-reviewed journals, don't include news articles, things that aren't peer-reviewed. Also, your paper, again, should be written in your own words. I mentioned this already, but don't copy and paste sentences from articles. Don't use quotes. You want to be summarizing everything in your own words. If you have any questions on your literature review assignment, I highly recommend coming to my office hours. Those are on Monday from 3:10 to 4, and then on Thursday from 2:10 to 4. If you need to meet outside of that time, that's totally fine. Just send me an email and we'll find a time that works. I also encourage you to look at the rubric here for the literature review assignment. I will be using this when I grade your papers. The last thing I want to cover in this video is your discussion number 4 post. So your initial post is due on Thursday and your reply is due Sunday. And in line with our topic for this week, you are going to be thinking about what sampling technique that you're going to use for your research proposal assignment that's due at the end of the quarter. So if you haven't taken a look at that research proposal assignment yet, I highly encourage you to do so now. For your initial post, you'll need to state your research question for your research proposal. It can be the same question that you've been using, that you've come up with. Some of you, I have given you feedback on how to update that question, and so if you haven't incorporated that yet, please do so. You can also update your question to something else if you would like. It's really up to you, but I want you to state what your current research question is in this initial post. And then think about the sampling technique that you could use for your research proposal. Make sure that you are very specific in terms of, you don't want to say, I'm going to use probability sampling or non-probability sampling. You have to actually be specific about the type of sampling. So, for example, maybe you're going to use snowballing sampling, or maybe you're going to use quota sampling. Just make sure to be specific in terms of which one you're going to use. You want to make sure to describe that technique and what you're planning to do, and justify why you selected that particular technique. I also want you to think about and tell me what your sample population is, and also what is your population of interest, known as your target population. If you're still unclear about what the difference is between those, you can click on this link here. That will help describe the difference. So if I click that link, it'll take me to this diagram, which I think is really helpful. You start out with what we used to call target population. We now try and refer to that as population of interest. But this is the general population that the study seeks to understand. So maybe my population of interest is young adults between the ages of 18 and 25, something like that, right? So that's my target population, or my population of interest. My sample population is different from that. My sample population, these are the individuals that I'm actually going to reach out to and ask to participate in my study. So if my population of interest is young adults between the ages of 18 and let's say 25, then my sample population might be students that attend Cal State universities. Maybe that's my approach to trying to recruit people. I'm going to try and reach out to all of the students that attend the Cal State universities across the state. So that's the difference between your target population, or your population of interest, and your sample population. So the more detail you can give on your sample population and your population of interest, the better in terms of me being able to help you for your research proposal. So try and be really specific. Then I want you to tell me how you will actually recruit participants for your study. It should be realistic. So you can't like make things up, but it should be a realistic plan for recruiting people. So for example, you need to be really specific. If you plan to use an online survey, how are you actually going to share the link to get people to participate? So you'll want to think about that. And then for your reply post, you've just got one piece that you're going to answer. Provided you're going to provide feedback or a suggestion to at least one classmate based on their proposed sampling method. So maybe you read your classmate's post and you think an alternative sampling technique might be better, or maybe there's another strategy that you think could also be really beneficial in terms of recruiting participants. Just make sure to be respectful as always in those posts regarding your classmates' plan. So that's the plan for this week. You've got your module, you've got your reading, you've got your discussion posts, you've also got your quiz, and you've got your literature review. Also, make sure to download this software for your lab. At least one person in your group should bring their laptop to lab. You're going to need that to calculate the sample size for your lab assignment.